90% of your problems, maybe more. Trace them back, all the way back, past the bills, past the boss, past the bad luck, and you'll find they don't come from 100 different places. They come from one. One decision you made a long time ago and never went back to fix. Now don't miss this. The decision wasn't loud. It didn't feel like a decision at all. It felt like ordinary life. Get a job, pay your bills, work hard, stay out of trouble, keep your fingers crossed, hope for the best. That's the decision right there. The decision to let life happen to you instead of deciding what to do about it. The decision to leave yourself the same. Let me tell you, I made that decision. I made it without knowing I made it. I grew up in Idaho, farm country, southwest corner of Idaho. I went to high school, I graduated, I went to college 1 year. Halfway through my second year of college, I decided I was smart enough. So I quit. One of my major mistakes. I should have stayed in school. But I thought, you know, I'm smart enough to get a job. That's what life's all about, right? Get a job, pay your bills, work hard, stay out of trouble. A little while later, got married, got my little family going, and I'm out there doing what I thought was the best I could, but about age 25, I'm starting to struggle. I've purchased a little more than I can conveniently pay for on time, and the creditors are starting to call saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. What's the deal? And I'm getting embarrassed by that. I'm also embarrassed, big mouth me, with all the fancy promises I made to get married. I'm way behind on those promises. 25 years old. I live in America. I got a nice family, every reason to do well, and I'm messed up. Pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank. Now here's what I want you to understand. I didn't think it was a decision that put me there. I thought it was circumstances. If someone would have asked me at age 25, Mr. Rohn, how come you're not doing well? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it much easier to blame the government, much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high. Top tax rate when I first started paying taxes, 91%. I used to blame the traffic, the weather. I used to blame circumstances. I used to blame the company. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do well? I had a whole list, a ragged list, reasons for not doing well, and every reason pointed away from me. That's the trap, my friend. That's the one decision dressed up as 100 excuses. The decision to look everywhere but the one place that could actually change. And then the miracle happened for me. Good fortune came my way. And who can explain good fortune? I don't know. My good fortune was at age 25, I met a very wealthy man. His name was Mr. Shoaff, Mr. Earl Shoaff. A friend of mine had gone to work for him, and he started telling me about this man. He said, you've got to meet this man I've gone to work for. He's wealthy, but he's easy to talk to. And he's got a unique philosophy of life. So sure enough, shortly after that, I had a chance to meet this remarkable wealthy man. And I was impressed. He was wealthy. He was easy to talk to. I was so intrigued. Within a few minutes, I said to myself, if I could be like him, farm boy from Idaho, if I could be like him, I'd give anything. A few months later, Mr. Shoaff took a liking to me, hired me, gave me a job. I went to work for him, and I spent the next 5 years in his employ. He coached me. He taught me. He taught me the books to read. He taught me the disciplines. He taught me the changes to make in my language and personality. But the first thing he did, the very first thing, was sit me down and walk me back through that one decision. He didn't call it that. He just asked me some questions. He said, well, Mr. Rohn, let's just go through a little summary here. He said, in the last 6 years, how much money have you saved and invested? I said, what? 0. He said, you have messed up. He said, how many books have you read in the last 90 days? I said, what? 0. He said, in the last 6 months, how many classes have you taken to improve your skills? I said, how many? 0. He said, you have messed up. Now, you'd think that would sting, and it did. But here's the part you've got to catch. He wasn't pointing at the government. He wasn't pointing at the economy. He wasn't pointing at my relatives or my boss or the 91% tax rate. He was pointing at me, at the one decision, the decision to leave myself the same and hope the world would treat me different. And here's the secret he handed me right after. He said, here's the secret, Mr. Rohn. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Think about it. If you would have known me at age 25, you would have said, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. I'm the guy. I don't mind coming a little bit early, staying a little bit late. I don't mind that. You'd have said, well, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. Then how come he's got pennies in his pocket and nothing in the bank and behind on his promises? Well, I was a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. That was the one decision reversed. Not a new job, not a new town, Not a new economy, a new place to put the work. I started working on me. And let me tell you how small it starts. Because you're sitting there thinking the fix has to match the size of the mess. It doesn't. My father, not long ago, midnight, we're getting ready to go to bed. My father's eating what he calls his midnight snack. A little bite to eat before you go to bed. And I'm watching him eat this midnight snack. Guess what he had? An apple, a few graham crackers, and a glass of grapefruit juice. I said, no wonder my father's so healthy. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, if that's true, that would be easy to do. Then what's the problem? It's easy not to do. It's easy not to adopt it as your own personal philosophy. And here's the thing about the apple. The guy messed up to say a Hershey bar a day. Say, no. You've been watching too much television. It is not Hershey bar. You've got to be smarter in philosophy than to fall for the Hershey bar a day when it's an apple a day. Now, don't miss this. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You've got to be so smart that you look down the road and say, well, the errors in my present judgment, what's that going to cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? That's the one decision again. It never looks like much on any given day. The apple you didn't eat, the book you didn't read, the Hershey bar you did eat, none of it ruins you by sundown. That's the whole problem. It's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. And the not doing piles up quiet day after day until one morning you wake up at 25 or 35 or 55 with pennies in your pocket and a list of reasons that all point the wrong way. Here's the formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. And here's the formula for success. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. So let me give you the language of it. Because the one decision lives in your language, and you can hear it if you listen. You could, and you should, and you don't. That's the sound of it. You could fish, you should fish, and you don't fish. You got no miracle. You could change, you should change, you won't change. That's called accumulated disaster. In 6 years, you'll be explaining instead of celebrating. Having some ragged list like I had. Reasons for not doing well. Pennies in my pocket. Could, should, don't is called disaster. But here's the way up. Same words. One change. Could, should, and will. And if you'll just start that process of change, could, should, and will, you can start this whole thing. And if you will then put it into action, the miracle belongs to you. That's the whole turn, my friend. From don't to will. That's the one decision made the other way. Now I promised you a thing you can write down. So let me give you the 4 emotions that can help change anything. Because the one decision isn't made with your head. It's made with your gut. And it runs on 4 emotions. Write these down. Number 1 is disgust. Now I know that's a strong word, but here's what I want you to understand. Change doesn't start with inspiration. Change doesn't start with somebody getting excited. Change starts with disgust. Getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. And not disgust at somebody else. Disgust with your own current condition. Disgust with your own lack of results. Saying one day, I've had it. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. One day I said, I've had it. That was the start. Number 2 is decision. After the disgust comes the decision. The day you sit down, like I sat down with Mr. Schoaf, and you go through your own little summary. How much have I saved? How many books have I read? What have I done to make myself more valuable? And you decide. Not wish, not hope. Decide. Number 3 is desire. The wanting it bad enough to pay the price. Desire is the fuel. It's the picture of a life better than the one you've got that pulls you forward when the discipline gets heavy. And number 4 is resolve. Resolve says, I will. Not I'll try. I will. Resolve is the one that holds when the first 90 days don't show much. And they won't show much, I'm telling you. That's why you need resolve and not just a good mood. Disgust, decision, desire, resolve, the 4 emotions. That's how the one decision actually gets made. Down where it counts. Now let me show you that it's the decision and not the circumstances. Because this is the part people fight me on. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. Now somebody says, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. Taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. The economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? I was not the same. Read that again. Same government, same economy, same marketplace, same relatives. The only thing that changed was the man. When I changed, everything changed for me. That's why I tell you, you don't need a better economy. You need a better philosophy. The same wind blows on us all. The winds of chance and circumstance blow for us all. The same wind blows on us all. The difference in where you arrive is not the wind, it's the set of the sail. And the set of the sail is your own personal philosophy. That's the one decision. Named plainly, it's where you set your sail, not the wind. You can't order the wind. You've been given something better. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But human beings are not like a goose. You can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. You've been given the dignity of choice. Now here comes the hard line. I'm going to say it plain and then I'm going to hand you the way up, because I'd never leave you standing in it. If your life isn't working and you keep waiting for the circumstances to change, you are going to wait the rest of your life. The economy's not going to rescue you. The lucky break is not going to rescue you. Your relatives are not going to rescue you. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. That's the sting. Now here's the hand up, and it's the best news I've got. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to fix the whole world. You couldn't if you tried. You just have to go to work on the one thing you've actually got the keys to, yourself. And it's so much smaller than you think. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start? With an apple. You don't have to start with something staggering. We must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Now the difference. The discipline weighs ounces, the regret weighs tons. Pick your pain. That's all the one decision really is. Which pain you're willing to carry, and you're going to carry one of them. So carry the light one. Let me tell you about a man who picked up the light one, because I want you to see what one decision does when a fellow actually makes it. A man walked up after one of my seminars. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've really gotten to me. He said, I'm going to change my philosophy. I'm going to change my attitude. I'm going to change my life. He said, you'll hear about me. Sure enough, a few months later, I come back. He said, one of the things I decided to change was my relationship with my family. He said, my wife and I have 2 lovely teenage daughters. I'm the only one that's given them trouble. These daughters of ours have never given us any trouble. They love to go to the rock concerts, and I'm always giving them trouble. They have to beg me for the money. I said, I don't want you to go. Music's too loud. You're going to ruin your hearing. But he said, after I left your seminar, I decided to change. Not long ago, I picked up the newspaper and I saw an advertisement. One of their favorite performers was coming to town. He said, guess what I did? I went down and bought the tickets myself and brought them home, put them in an envelope. And when I saw my daughters later that day, I handed them this envelope, and I said to my 2 lovely daughters, you may not believe it, but inside this envelope are 2 tickets for the upcoming concert. And he added, you'll be happy to know, begging days are over. They go to the concert, come concert time, open up the envelope, hand the tickets to the usher. He says, follow me, and he starts down front. The girls say, hey, hold it. Something must be wrong. He takes another look, says, no, nothing's wrong. Follow me. 10th row center. The only tickets they were ever able to beg for was way up in the 3rd balcony. Can't see. He said, I stayed up a little late that night. Sure enough, a little after midnight, my 2 daughters come bursting through the front door. One of them lands in my lap. The other one's got her arms around my neck. They're both saying, you got to be one of the all-time world's great fathers. He said, Mr. Rohn, you're right. I can't believe it. Same money, different father. Now catch it. Same money. The price of the tickets didn't change. The economy didn't change. His paycheck didn't change. What changed was the man. He made one decision, and it didn't just buy better seats. It bought him daughters hanging around his neck at midnight. Same money, different father. That's the dignity of the one decision. It costs about the same to live well as it does to live poorly. It costs about the same to set your sail right as to leave it slack. The money's the same. The day's the same. The difference is you. And it shows up in the smallest things, my friend. Mr. Shoaf taught me that too. He said, Mr. Rohn, if you're getting your shoes shined and the shoe shine boy's done an exceptional job, you look down, you got one of the world's all-time great shines, and you pay him. Now you got a little change in your hand. Question pops in your mind. Should I give him 1 quarter or 2 quarters as a tip? Here's what Shoaf said. If two amounts pop in your mind, always go for the higher amount and become the higher thinking person. That helped change my life. He said, if you say, well, no, I'll just give him 1/4, that'll affect you the rest of the day. The rest of the day, you'll look down and see this great shine. You'll say, I got to be really cheap, 1 lousy quarter for a tip. But he said, if you'll go for the 2 quarters, you can't believe the extra happiness you can buy for just an extra quarter. One decision, 1 extra quarter. And the man told me that's called studying and practicing the art of lifestyle, which means living well. So let me bring this home to today, to tonight. Before your head hits the pillow, you don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in. Only by choice you can start a whole new process. And if you'll start that process of change, do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, your whole life begins to turn. Here's what you decide tonight. Not the whole future, just the one decision made the right way. You decide that from here on, you work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's it. That's the one. Tonight you take your present apartment, clean out a closet, call it your library, and start acting intelligent. Tonight you pick the apple and not the Hershey bar. Tonight you change 1 word in your language, from don't to will. Income seldom exceeds personal development. To have more, you simply have to become more. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. So if you want what you've got to change, there's only one lever, and it's been in your hand the whole time. 90% of your problems came from one decision, the decision to leave yourself the same. And the beautiful thing, the thing I want you to fall asleep on tonight, is that the cure is the same size as the disease. One decision made the other way. You've been given the dignity of choice. The goose can only fly south. You can fly anywhere. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. And start tonight with something small, something you can do before the lights go out. An apple, a closet turned into a library, 1 word changed, 1 quarter more. For things to change, you have to change. And you can. I was a broke farm boy from Idaho with pennies in my pocket and a ragged list of excuses, and one decision turned the whole thing around. Same wind, different sail, same money, different man. You don't have to start with something staggering. You just have to start tonight.